franchise bonus episode, After Dark Wednesday edition, talking about Joker. It's been out a few weeks. It's been the talk of the town, and we're ready to talk about the clown prince of crime.
He is the clown prince of crime. I am Henry Papal Hallows Eve.
Oh, yeah, you got Madison's message. Very nice.
Thank you, Madison. Very creative, my lord.
Yeah, and this is the D Train over here, Daniel Scarenberg, and we're talking about Joker, and this is the fifth version of the Joker character that we've covered on the podcast, not to mention the many that we haven't covered.
Yeah, what if so we've done
Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, and now Joaquin the Dream Phoenix.
Yeah, we haven't done Leto yet because we haven't done Suicide Squad. I believe, right?
Does Suicide Squad reach our shores once Birds of Prey or the fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn is released in theaters?
Yeah, and is it a coincidence that title has bird in it as well? With the
long-ass titles with birds in the title? Yeah,
I mean, don't know, man. Strange.
Looks just as stupid.
It really does.
Did you get that trailer?
Yeah. I'm not.
I got a lot of exciting trailers in front of Joker, Henry.
I actually did get some good stuff in front of Joker, but I saw it a while ago, so it's a little rusty. I did see the Terminator trailer.
I saw that. That looks like
fine.
A Terminator movie.
It looks like every other thing I've seen. Go ahead.
I saw the new Nolan movie, Tenet.
Yeah.
And the audience laughed at the end of the trailer because it was like, summer 2020, and everyone was like, "All right, why are you showing me this now?"
Yeah, it was odd. It just shows John David Washington, right? Like just kind of in front of a glass thing. I don't know what's going on. Who knows? It's Nolan.
Yeah. We're supposed to get pumped just on the basis of that it's Christopher Nolan.
Well,
of course, that'll be coming out. That's his second to next film because he's got that movie 1912 coming out in December.
That's correct. Sam Mendes is 1917. I love that you said that year too, because like World War I hadn't even started in 1912. Just pick a year.
I don't know. Maybe Nolan wants to depict the death of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Maybe he wants to show someone ripping the pearls off of Franz Ferdinand's neck.
Oh my. Well, we do have a pearl ripping
I'm
scene.
so excited we got to see the pearls again, Henry. I didn't know if I'd ever get to see them again.
I thought of you when it happened.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, honestly, yeah, we did Batman last year, I believe, and it was last year, and that was a lot of fun. So, in keeping with the tradition, now I guess we did Batman about around, if I recall, December. I think we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 months later, man, we don't forget you guys. We knew you'd want to hear our take on this Joker movie.
If I were you, I wouldn't want to hear our take on this because I've heard enough fucking takes on this goddamn movie.
I have to agree with you on that, to be honest, no matter which side you fall down on. I studiously avoided most of them going in, but it was still too hard. And
Are you implying that there are two sides to come out of the viewers of this film?
It certainly seems that way. However, I have mainly seen, and now this might just be the exposure that I'm seeing on the internet, I have mainly seen more negative type reviews.
How interesting. I will say that former Republican guest Christian Toto has said it's his favorite film of the year.
Really?
I had a hunch he might, and checked his website, and I was correct.
Interesting. All right, I don't know where this episode's going to go. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about right before we get in the movie. Let's just say like what we went into it with, because I feel like I have a pretty good idea of your feeling and expectation going in, but I'd like to know now, and for the viewers to know, like our listeners. God damn it, I do that all the time. Anticipating our rise to television. As
You
you know.
mean like what I expected to think of the movie?
That, and if you even cared.
No, I definitely cared. But I was trying not to have any expectations. Like, it had a very artistic trailer, which led me to believe something about the type of movie it would be, which was good, but I didn't want to get my hopes up after that because the Watchmen Zack Snyder trailer made me cry. And so, like,
yeah.
whatever. Joaquin Phoenix was definitely a plus in my engagement in the film. And Todd Phillips was sort of an even. Didn't make me excited or unexcited. He's made some good movies and some shit, and this seemed like a departure to him, so I didn't know whether he'd be able to pull it off or what he was trying to pull off. So, I mean, I was intrigued by the presence of people like Joaquin Phoenix, De Niro, Mark Maron, Zazie Beetz, Francis Conroy. It had an undeniably good cast.
Right.
Let's say I was intrigued, but not necessarily hopeful.
Okay. All right. I would say going in, I was really, really interested in the trailer. I thought the idea was cool, mainly because of Joaquin. Like you with the director, Todd Phillips. I mean, I don't know that I really even have liked any of his films. I mean, I think The Hangover was funny, but I've never watched it again.
I liked his early days. Todd Phillips got his start as a documentarian. And I like both of his feature-length documentaries, Frat House and Hated, the Gigi Allen one.
You see, I didn't see either of those. Yeah, and so
and
for
then
me,
wait. So just to go over his career a little bit, he then of course became a mainstream comedy director. This is off the top of my head. He did Road Trip was his first, which is a movie I like, and he did Old School, which is a movie that's pretty fun. Then
I like that.
Starsky and Hutch has its moments. Then School for Scoundrels really hurt his career for a while. Then Hangover revived it. He did Hangover 2 and Hangover 3 and Due Date, which were all hits. War Dogs was his try at something else, which I thought was halfway decent. And then, of course, Joker. That brings us up to date.
Okay, so all I had seen was Old School, which I saw when it came out.
I've seen every movie he's ever made.
That's great. That's amazing. Wow. I mean, I saw The Hangover and Old School. That's it. And I mean, both. I remember thinking Old School was funny, much funnier than The Hangover, but it's been a while. But I guess when I was looking at it as him being a director, I thought it was one of those kind of cool choices because it just seems so weird, and I like that. That happens every once in a while when you get somebody who's of course a guy who's got like a proven track record with some kind of weird artistic stuff would have been cool. But then again, I think we talked about this off air a long time ago, like, well, maybe this might be neat to get somebody who's just kind of a stock comedy director but also does some little offbeat stuff. So I was mainly excited because of Joaquin, the idea itself.
It'd be nice to have a director with a style.
Well, right. Going into this, I agree.
Into this, I think that in Joker, he adopted other styles. He doesn't have a style on his own. He did a fairly decent cover version of Scorsese, of 70s or 80s Scorsese. Oh.
We're already getting into it then.
Well, okay, I mean, if you're talking about Todd Phillips' style, I still don't think he has a style. I think in this movie he's aping others, and, your mileage on that may vary.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like his style was actually more crafted by the elements he put around it, like cinematography, music, acting, and script. And those were such a big part that if he had any style, it was almost dictated by that. But I don't necessarily think that.
Well, he
was
co-wrote the
a bad
movie
thing. Right.
with
So-
Jew Scott Silver.
So let's get into it. I mean, do you want to do some stats first?
Scott,
Todd,
well,
or-
Scott Silver's his co-writer. He got his start with the '90s indie classic Johns with David Arquette.
Right.
He was involved in the Mod Squad movie. He was big on 8 Mile, which you kind of have to give him. He wrote a lot of that movie.
Oh, I love that's a great movie.
Yeah, he wrote The Fighter, or he worked on The Fighter for David O. Russell, which is, I assume, how he got this job, because Bradley Cooper produced Joker.
Oh yes. All right. There's that
And then he
connect.
wrote The Finest Hours, which I'm not familiar with, but was apparently some... Oh, it's like a true story of something. And Joker, it came out a few weeks ago, Oct 4, 2019, on a budget of $70 million. And Wikipedia has it at 745.1 million to date, but I think I read that it's closing in on 9. So
Jesus.
no, this is a massive hit, and these R-rated superhero movies keep connecting at the box office. So I assume you'll be getting a lot of them coming up.
You think so? You think? How
think-
many? Like,
Logan, well, really, Deadpool, right? The first Deadpool was the first one, and that was a huge
Yeah.
hit. And then Logan was like a test. Let's see if we can do something a little more serious with pre-existing characters that we've seen in other movies, and that really connected at the box office. Then Deadpool 2, and now you're getting things on television like The Boys or The Umbrella Academy, these kinds of superhero things.
or even Watchmen, right?
Or Watchmen, right? And now Joker. This is the first time DC's done it. It's with an enormously popular character, and it's a hit and a half. This is lining up to be, probably top 5 for the year, I think.
Yeah, I would think so. With almost being at 9, I mean, it's already almost November. So
Yeah, and it's still going strong in theaters.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. I would put out the. I haven't done this in a while because I usually have been waiting lately to talk about it while we're doing the movie. But I might as well mention the music is by Hildur Guðnadóttir.
Step back
who's
to the
a.
mic, please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. I'm used to that old mic I had. Folks.
I know, the shitty
got
one.
that. Yeah. And this is a cellist, female cellist from Iceland, who was a frequent collaborator of the late Jóhann Jóhannsson, who wrote phenomenal scores like Sicario and Prisoners, and so she wrote the score to this, and I think that I should say that I think that the score, before we even go in, is really good in this movie.
Okay.
It's very dark. But see, maybe I should have waited that way because, then we're going to talk about what I thought was good in the movie. But anyway, shout out to a female composer. We don't get that a lot, period. So
That's a good
kind
point.
of cool. Yeah, I mean, that's just cool that she got this gig to begin with. So I'm happy. I was happy about that. So
Token, tip of the hat to the female community from this male picture. From this very white male picture.
Well, so here's the thing. I'll tell you how I was feeling once the movie began and what I had read a little bit about before it. So
All right.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, we'll talk about the movie. Let's talk about it and integrate it into the conversation. I'm just saying, so I kept reading about the Scorsese thing and the King of Comedy and the Taxi Driver influence and all that. And definitely about the male thing for sure. And I couldn't really, and nor did I have any desire to deny any of that. But when the movie started, I was going at it in a very maybe like sort of prismic way where I was just looking at it as very much a comic book movie.
Me too.
Which,
No. I did the same thing, Henry.
Oh, really?
Fuck.
Okay.
The
I feel like
Scorsese
people did
comparisons are, well, because it's aiming at. Listen, this is a movie that is trying to be more than a comic book movie. It's aiming above comic book movie, but it's a comic book movie.
I think it is.
Yeah. Come on, we see fucking little baby Batman in it.
No, but from the way people talk about it, they're in part
because they're going. Listen, this is a movie that's going to be in consideration at the Oscars. This is a movie that won the top award at the Venice Film Festival. So people are looking at it like something more because it's inviting you to. Todd Phillips wants you to.
Yeah.
But I tried to watch it as much as I could as a Joker origin story.
Yeah, I did too, and I succeeded in doing that. I wasn't really pulled out of that. And then afterwards, reading some of the stuff, I just feel like a lot of people weren't going in with that or even experiencing it the way.
I don't care what people were going. Everyone experiences movies their own way, and they're allowed to do that. And I get the sense that you liked this movie. Am I getting the right sense?
I think this movie's masterful.
Oh God!
I think it's masterful. I was really, really liked it. I loved it.
You're allowed to love it. You're allowed to love it.
And I got the feeling from a comment you made a few episodes ago that you did not care for this movie in any way.
I hated this.
Yeah.
I hated Joker.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
how do you want to get into it, man?
We're friends, guys. This is going to be an amicable episode. You guys enjoy when we disagree, so I figured it would happen. I don't know. We can get into it. I mean, I guess right away for me, the atmosphere of it pulled me in. Joaquin pulled me in. His performance, I just thought was like immediately mesmerizing, and he's in every scene.
Yeah.
I liked that the story was pulling a little bit here from The Killing Joke, a little bit
Not
there
really.
from The Dark, a little bit. Well,
Todd Phillips decided that he's a better writer than Alan Moore, and that's fine.
Okay. I mean, they take the stand-up comedian thing from The Killing Joke.
Sure.
That's essentially it.
A great depiction of stand-up comedy, by the way. It reminded me of fucking Punchline with Tom Hanks.
It's a comic book world. I see. That was the thing with me watching the movie. Anything that struck me as kind of that
you can excuse because it's based on a comic book. Come on, man.
Sure. I mean, was Murray well, you're probably going to agree with me on this. I mean, was Murray Franklin, De Niro's character, was he a realistic, believable talk show host, the way he acted and the way on a talk show like that?
Yes.
He's supposed to be like Johnny Carson, and he's really just kind of a smarmy, smug jerk off. I mean, that's not what talk show.
But Henry, you have to remember, we're viewing everything through the prism of Arthur Fleck.
Yeah, I didn't buy that either. I didn't feel that.
What are you talking about?
I didn't feel the whole delusional thing except for the Zazie Beetz thing where he's clear. I took the movie at face value. I wasn't going to look into is this fan. That would have really not interested me, and it didn't hit me that way. Like, were you looking at? Were you feeling like what's fantasy, what's not the whole time? Or
once there was a scene that I didn't realize was fantasy, and then it was revealed to be fantasy. Then how else am I supposed to watch the movie?
Because you felt he was an unreliable narrator the whole time.
Yes,
I didn't feel that way. You know,
he's
felt
also. It's also a movie about a mentally challenged person who is deeply disturbed and is on medication and is not able to keep up with his medication because insurance is bad in Gotham City. And I mean, that's why this movie doesn't work for me even as an origin story of the Joker. Because the Joker is supposed to be, a criminal mastermind, the Clown Prince of Crime, and so if you're just telling me he's an insane person, then it's not that. And we are supposed to feel good about him killing his mother, who's also an insane person, for being a liar and an asshole and someone who's keeping him down.
Yeah.
But I don't see how Arthur Fleck, because he's certainly not the Joker, he's Arthur Fleck, is sympathetic and she isn't. I don't see the difference.
I agree with that. I agree with that point. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I thought the mixture of the character, the Joker, being the comic booky, I didn't really think of it as having any like concrete origin. So the whole thing with the mental illness and then being kicked off because of the meds and the insurance, I was just like, okay,
I don't care.
That's their take. That's their take. All right.
But how is there any way in which this character becomes the Joker that you know from the Batman comics?
I think that it's entirely possible. I mean, by the end of the movie, I mean, becoming a genius, I don't know, because I don't know if we've really, I mean, because that's clear from the comics and pretty much every depiction of the Joker we've seen. He's like a genius.
He's a criminal mastermind. He's ahead of Batman at every turn.
Right. So remember the next Batman's Robert
This piece of shit is literally murdering people in his own apartment.
Yeah, but I guess I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to get your objection to the. It seems like you just didn't care for the ultimate even take on him as a totally different direction for Joker, completely different in that regard. I tried
to while I was watching the movie, and the more I tried to hammer this take on the Joker into everything that interests me about the Joker, I wasn't able to do it.
Okay.
This is a completely different character. This, to me, is a character study of an all-new character named Arthur Fleck, and he's a character that I want to spend no time with. I have no interest in.
Yeah. See, that's interesting, because one of the questions I definitely asked myself during the movie was, could they have taken this character out, not called it Joker, and just made it about a character named Arthur Fleck? And
no, because it's not going to make $900 million at the box office.
Right, but you know what I'm saying.
No, of course you can creatively, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Right, but so I bought into it. I liked the take. I didn't really. I mean, I guess I saw the whole turning into a criminal genius mastermind thing. That was hard to buy, but then I also just made the very quick rationalization of he's just starting out. And maybe he's not at that point yet, because it's very different than like Ledger.
But this is a guy who is physically unable to speak. He has a disorder that makes him start laughing. The one detail I liked about this character was the little card he hands out when he's laughing.
It's fucking great. I love that. And,
sure.
And I liked that they gave him that disorder. I thought that was very creative. I thought it was scary. I thought it was sad and piteous. And one of the things about the movie that I think is weird but works is that it didn't put me in a comfortable place at all. Like when he kills those Wall Street guys. Now I don't know about people like Toto, but that didn't make me happy. I didn't want, because they were douchebags to him on the subway.
So what did that make you feel?
I honestly, that sequence in the subway, it just made me feel like something that was so out of the blue that it felt like something the Joker would do, because I've seen him in comics.
What are you going to do? Like, what is that scene? First of all, it's a bunch of Wall Street guys in an approximation of New York City who are singing a Stephen Sondheim song, which is one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. But second of all, what am I can't imagine that I'm supposed to have any reaction other than either, oh, Joker's fucking cool, or, oh, Arthur, you're really you're falling deep, you're Breaking Bad.
That's interesting. See, yeah, those are two reactions that I didn't have.
No, but I don't know what reaction I'm supposed to have to that scene.
Well, I felt like honestly, I described it to people afterwards, like that I just felt like the movie was kind of, because of those feelings, it felt very like experiential. Like it was not, it had like a protagonist, but you're not really rooting for him. You pity him, and then he does these horrible things. Well, I did at the beginning. At the beginning of the movie, I did. And then once he starts doing these terrible things, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, he's got all these problems that I think it's a strange thing. I liked little details in the movie, for instance, regarding when he is told by his therapist that she can't give him the medication anymore, as you said, because the funding was cut. I liked the fact that there's like a kind of a line in there that's basically says, well, she's out of a job too. Like she won't have a job either because
That's
she's
not true.
employed.
They're saying that they're transferring her to Arizona or something.
Well, yeah, but in other words, but she's a nobody as well because she's a state counselor. She's a city she's not somebody like you see her office, the details of her office.
Okay,
like
so why is that
place.
Interesting?
Because it is interesting because I think another movie he'd be going to somebody who has some very nice office with or even just a doctor's office, but instead he's in like a place where like people go to collect checks and it's very unpleasant and it's a 1981 shithole and it was just very detailed and it engrossed me, that part. I like that.
Why does it take place in 1981?
I think solely, to be honest, for the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it worked.
Mm-hmm. This is the Stranger Thingsization of film.
Well, I mean, that's possible, but I mean, I think they're able to get the kind of visuals they get because of the time place it takes. It's not the first movie I've ever seen to just deliberately pick a year so it can be like, ooh, we can use those cars.
Okay, but it's clearly a movie that has socio-political issues on its mind. And on the one hand, it's trying to talk about our current world, but you're doing it in 1981 when things are very different, and it muddles up the message entirely. If you will, Henry, when everyone is crowded around the Joker at the end of the movie, and everyone's really excited that he killed the Robert De Niro.
When he's on the car?
Yep.
When he's on... Okay.
Okay, what is that supposed to represent?
I don't know. Anarchy? I don't know.
This is the kind of movie that thinks it has enormous things to say, but it's on a 10th grade fucking reading level, and if you read anything beyond the surface, there's no there there.
Well, I mean, the thing is that that's what I found interesting about all the things about it, because I think that like you said, socio-political, and it definitely is. I think you're right. And I can't tell you what Phillips ultimately even is politically, because you could glean certain scenes as a liberal watching it as capitalism not caring about poor people, and then you could look at it as a right winger and you could be, I don't know, offended by maybe what they would call the what was the Wall Street group that came up in the...
Okay, so you're saying is it's a blank slate and anyone could put on anything on it what they feel.
Yeah, actually I do. But when I was watching it, I didn't care. That's not what I was into.
What did you care about, Henry?
I cared about I felt that the movie worked on a level of
surface.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, and I didn't think anything was wrong with that. I think it totally got me into it. I loved the music, I loved the visuals, the acting was stupendous. I mean, and I liked the originality of the script, doing a Joker story that I had never read.
What originality? It's not original.
For him, for the Joker.
So that's originality now in 2019, to plug a comic book character into a story that you like?
If that's how you looked at it, plugging in a comic book character to a story you liked. I just took it as an original Joker story. I didn't feel the need when I was watching it that I thought I would feel. I thought I was going to have all these preconceived notions that would not abandon me during the viewing, and they did. I just felt it was very riveting. That's all, man. I thought it was a riveting movie, and I liked every piece of it. I thought it was great. And I mean, I didn't question every little thing in it because I didn't feel I needed to, and especially a movie with an unreliable narrator, because if I do stuff
so he is an unreliable narrator?
Like you said he was. That they show one scene where he could be, I should have said, where he could be an unreliable narrator. besides what they're going to show me, I don't play that game that Todd Phillips might be wanting us to play. Maybe that's what he wants us to be playing. Like, and he has, even after the movie, if you read his shit that he says about the movie, I've stopped reading anything about it because he's annoying the fuck out of me. Just being like, well, maybe it's not the Joker. I never said it was the Joker. It could be a precursor to the Joker. And I'm just kind of like, dude, just stop. You made a movie. I enjoyed it on my level. And it's about the Joker that I know and love, and it worked on a story.
This is about the Joker that you know and love?
Sure, in the insanity department and in the essence of the character just being like growing from an innocent into somebody who turns into somebody crazy.
An innocent?
Yeah, a hapless guy. I'm thinking of The Killing Joke.
Oh,
like
okay.
A hapless guy.
I don't know. Roger Ebert always said that he judges movies on their own goals. You know, so like, you know, he can judge like a shitty, you know, a movie like Home Alone on what Home Alone is trying to be.
Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and he said that a lot. He used to say that a lot. I know.
Okay, so judging Joker on the kind of movie that it's trying to be, I'm just trying to take this movie at face value. I was watching it in theater, and I was trying to enjoy it, and I certainly wasn't bored, and I thought the look, I liked the film stock they used. It was like a good cover version of a Scorsese movie. And, you know, Joaquin Phoenix's performance I don't think was good. I don't think it created a character, but I do think that it was fun to watch. It was full of weird tics, and some of which he brought back again and again, and some of which only showed up because I assume he was trying to have fun on the set. And I mean, that's fine. I don't think he should be nominated for an Oscar for it, but I thought it was a fun depiction of the character. You know, I don't have problems with like every part of it or anything, but at a certain point, I felt that this was like a pretty straight line. It's a crazy guy who gets off his meds and starts killing people. The connections that were brought up to the Wayne family, I could have completely disregarded. I didn't like any of that. I don't know why we had to see Alfred in this movie. I don't know why we had to fucking see Martha die again. But we did. You know, but I was sitting there trying to take this movie on its own level. And that scene where the Joker becomes the clown prince of crime, and like the people are around him and saluting him and chanting his name. That to me said something, and I don't know what it was trying to evoke. At first I was like, is this supposed to be a MAGA rally? But I really didn't get the sense that we were questioning the Joker. I think in that moment we're supposed to take him at his face value. Like, look at this guy. He reached the pinnacle. He reached the top.
No, that's a great point. That scene left me befuddled.
So what is that supposed to be? Is it supposed to be the fucking like the angry youth of America? Is that supposed to evoke like a women's march kind of a feel? I assume not, because there are no women anywhere to be found in this movie.
Right. I mean, I can only go back to what I thought when I was watching it. I would have to watch it again to think about it more, but when I was watching it, I believe I thought two things. One, it didn't really make a lot of sense that all these people were rallying behind this guy because they didn't really draw it out that well plot-wise for them to even start adopting all these masks, and then it becomes almost like a Guy Fawkes thing, like fucking V for Vendetta or something. You know, that was
another great movie based on the works of Alan Moore.
But at the moment when I was watching it, I took it as some sort of extreme left wing rising up against like the scumbag that they turned Thomas Wayne into, and the Wall Street crowd. So an anti-capitalist thing. That's what I thought at the time. I was like, Well, they've depicted the city in ruins for 2 hours. Everyone's miserable. Everyone's unhappy. And then they show the wealth of the other people living well when they go to the Charlie Chaplin movie and when he visits Wayne Manor and all that. So I was only led to, I think, naturally come to the conclusion that everyone rallying around him were leftists. The thing that was unbelievable about it, among other things, obviously, but the main thing was that all those people would coalesce around a murderer.
Yeah, that's
pretty. I mean,
there's nothing that could be read into that scene. This movie is a blank slate. It's trying to be Fight Club, and it is just toothless, ugly satire of nothing. This is satire for the brain dead masses.
Yeah, you definitely, I think, were watching it and came away with it way more with like a polito-philosophical thing going on.
That's what it's trying to be.
That may be so, but
here's the thing: if I boil it down to just looking at it as a Joker origin story, that works equally as poorly. It doesn't make sense as a Joker origin story. This is a pathetic, whiny little bitch who just needs to get back on his medication, and that's not something that interests me. That's not someone I can have empathy for.
Yeah, I mean,
the second this motherfucker drops a gun in a children's hospital, I don't have sympathy anymore. I don't care what happens to him.
Right.
I feel for his victims, and I don't want to see him succeed. And that to me at the end is a triumphant moment of a guy we've seen get shit on this entire movie finally succeeding. And I don't care.
Right. So you bring up a question I wanted to ask you. Well, I didn't even think about it until you just said it. So what just to pick a reference point, in Heath Ledger's depiction and what they write for him in The Dark Knight. So he does all these senseless things, and do you think that works better because he has Batman to play off of, and this guy has sort of no one to play off of?
I think Heath Ledger plays the Joker as a guy who's in control at all times.
Yeah.
And he almost uses his craziness to disarm other people.
Yeah. That's true.
There's nothing in this character. There's nothing in Arthur Fleck's brain. There's no agency. He's just a nut job. That's not interesting.
Yeah. So there's no organization, you're saying, to his perpetuating what he does. He just does it.
Yeah, it's like it's like the superhero version of Rob Zombie's Halloween.
I think it's a lot smarter than that. Jesus
I don't think
Christ.
it is.
I mean, I guess the character. Do you find the character Joker just so unmalleable that he has to be a certain way and that's it?
All comic book characters are extraordinarily malleable.
They are malleable,
but
right?
when you're telling an origin story, the origin story has to inform you of what the character will become. Batman Begins does a beautiful job at that. The Batman we meet in Batman Begins is not the Batman you know from the comic book, but it's very easy to see how he could become that.
Yeah. And I feel like this sort of gets you on a road to that with Joker, but it's going to be a different road. I mean, that's all. He's not going to be, because he might not be orchestrating the type of labyrinthine hexagonal plots that Heath Ledger.
This is like the pilot episode of Natural Born Killers, this fucking movie.
That's fair. That's fair. And if what they're setting up is that he's just simply some fucking lunatic rando killer who wears makeup and doesn't have these giant plots for Batman.
It seems to me, though, that once they lock him up in Arkham and they put him back on his medication, he'll be fine. He's not going to kill anyone anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I felt like it was a perfectly viable road for Joker to go in this movie. I didn't feel it didn't feel like this clearly to you felt totally alien to what the Joker should even be or is or ever was as a
I
character.
could not find that character in this movie.
Right. And I could. It wasn't like the most clear-cut scenario. It wasn't drawn out for me, but I felt it. I mean, I could see where this could lead. And and I guess that's what I liked about it, because the question I did ask myself, which I've stated earlier, was during the movie, could this movie have just not had Joker in it and just been a portrait of somebody else? And, yes.
Of course, it would have been better off doing that.
But the impact of it, I felt, was more powerful, bringing it home to have Joker be the ultimate endpoint, to be the end game of the movie. I just thought it worked.
But I just don't think it extends to that. Like, that could be powerful, but for me, you're watching a movie about some crazy person I'm not interested in who then slathers paint on his face, and then you're like, oh, he's the Joker.
Right. And I think also, like, the performance by Joaquin Phoenix, I thought was just, honestly, it's just so cool. I just thought it was such a cool take on it. I really didn't know what to expect, and
he dances around a lot.
That's selling him pretty short, man. I mean, this is a pretty all-out performance. It's pretty committed. I mean, you can hate the movie and still think that
it works better as an acting exercise than almost anything else.
But for me, a lot of the elements superseded even the simple plot, and it is simple. The like I said before, I'll say it again. It's one of those movies that I found very, very pulling me in just for the music. I thought was perfect. The visuals I thought were perfect. Like, everything in it clicked for me. I just really dug it. As a entire exercise of a movie from what we've seen, I think the greatest thing ever depicted on screen between Joker and Batman is The Dark Knight. I think because all the elements are there and you have a masterful filmmaker. In this one, it's what struck me about this movie too is its smallness. I felt like it was very claustrophobic in a good way, and it felt, and I know it was shot for what, 55, 70 million bucks, but it felt even lower budget to me, and I mean that in a good way. Like, I liked all that. Like, it felt, I know he may have been going for he was going for a 70s feel, and I think he did it. I think he pulled that off, and if that in itself is not an accomplishment, it shouldn't be, because who cares? But it worked for me.
I don't know, but it's like a good cover. Like most good covers, it's like you can really enjoy it. It could be great, but like it's just not as good. Like so what are you trying to do? This is Todd Phillips trying to make a Martin Scorsese movie. Surely he has to. This guy has the balls to think he can make a movie as good as a Martin Scorsese movie. And if not, then why do it?
Well, do you think it evokes any other directors besides Martin
No,
Scorsese?
It's very specifically going... it's Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. That's all it's doing.
But also with even the feel and the look, you could even say some Sidney Lumet. You could say some Dog Day Afternoon going on there. Even
I wouldn't.
With the chant.
I could, but I wouldn't.
Well, I don't know, man. I thought it was great.
Who's your favorite female character?
Zazie Beetz.
Yeah. In the one scene, we actually got to see her as herself. That wasn't a delusion of Arthur Flex.
Yeah, and see, I gotta tell you, I liked
Did that surprise you, bro? Is that a good twist?
It did surprise me.
Oh man,
I know, which is funny because. And I'm just being honest here. I'm not embarrassed to say it. When I was watching the movie and they're showing that like montage of him walking around with her and everything, I have to say, at that point there was a part of me that was going, all right, credulity at this point is being a little stretched. I don't think you're gonna say you think.
The second he opens her door and kisses her, I'm like, what?
Well, I was too, but I didn't think that was, you obviously got it. You guessed it right away that it's bullshit. It was not
Well,
happening.
I was just like, if this is happening, it's bullshit. And if this isn't happening, that's stupid.
Okay, see, I was with you on the first one, and I never had the second thought because I never doubted that it was happening. I just didn't. And so I thought it was very cool and very chilling when she walks into her apartment and he's sitting there with no shirt and his hair is all soaked. I thought it was great, man. I don't know. What can I say, man? The movie got me.
You thought it was cool.
I did.
All right.
I thought the shot was great. I thought the setup of that whole sequence was great. I like the editing of it. I dug it.
I'm happy for you.
Yes. And I'm sorry that it was such a disappointment to you. I mean, it's funny, though, because the things that you're saying about it are not things where I feel like defensive about, because I can completely see where you're coming from on this movie. I totally do. I just I feel like I had like a different experience, but I do share a lot of your views on it. And I think we almost share the same view. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have the same view upon Todd Phillips not really knowing about his own character, what we as an audience are supposed to feel. I just didn't mind. It bothered you as to like, what the fuck, dude? What would you like me to feel for this man, if anything?
Right. This was a character piece about a character that I had no interest in, styled after movies I like, but completely lacking the soul of those movies.
Okay. I was trying to be very, gracious and literate there.
So was I. But fuck this movie. Okay. It's trash. What do you give it?
Trash. Wow. It's no Exorcist the beginning. I'll say that.
No, it's better than that. It's not even the worst Joker that's been on the screen, because, I mean, I like this movie more than Suicide Squad by a lot.
I mean, that's, if you're the one who's kind of throwing it up against what you already feel and know and have read and seen about the Joker. So I feel like you should be the one saying, like, well, compared to this, it sucks, or compared to this, it's great. To me, it's just another entry in a Joker take.
But so this just isn't. It's just not the Joker to me. It's inherent. It inherently changes the character. It's like if you did okay, this is gonna be a Captain America movie, but he never got frozen in the past. He's just like the guy.
Do you think
he was born strong?
Yeah. Okay, so you think it's that egregious?
It's diametrically opposed to what the character is supposed to be.
What if he would have fallen in a vat of chemicals and his skin would have been dyed white? Would that have made a difference?
But here's the thing. Like, the Jack Nicholson Joker is also not the Joker from the comics. That's a totally unique take by Tim Burton. But that version that falls in the vat of acid and then starts his gang or whatever, that to me, I can see him becoming the Joker.
Because he set it up in a more believable way, with him being like a gangster first and all that and being very, very smart, or what?
Yeah, it just felt like that character. I forget what the name is in the
Jack Napier.
Napier. I felt like Jack Napier is a new character that I could see turning into a Joker-like character.
Okay. And I felt the same way about this. I did.
I don't. Arthur Fleck is a piece of shit, and I hope they don't make any more movies about him.
I could see it won't. I don't think it would happen, but who knows with money involved.
My favorite characters were all the bullies. Like, anytime anyone was like, Fleck, you're a fucking idiot, I was like, yeah, that guy's got it.
That's because you're a Republican.
But I'm not. I hated that scene where he kills the people, and
I'm kidding. Yeah.
There's all those dwarf jokes. Did you like those?
Who cares? Were you offended by that?
Well, it'd be like if that was an actual character in the movie and they made dwarf jokes about him, sure. But he was just there for dwarf jokes.
He's a sight gag. And what's funny, you brought up is honestly, dude, all I thought of in that when that character appeared, I went, oh, that's like the little people in The Killing Joke. That's all I thought. I didn't think beyond that.
I don't
was
remember
just like,
the little people in The Killing Joke.
yeah, when he takes Gordon to the amusement park and kidnaps him.
Oh yeah, right.
That's
Yo,
all I
God,
thought.
yeah, that's right.
See. So for me, you could see how I watched this movie. I was just like, oh, and at the end on the talk show, obviously.
So you spent this movie justifying everything that was wrong about it.
No, I was recollecting. I was just like, oh, that's where they got that from. That I didn't look so deep into it, and it's a movie called Joker. So when there was something like misogynistic or a dwarf shows up, I wasn't like, how dare they?
No, you were just like, cool, this is twisted.
I didn't think anything about it. I wasn't. No, cool twisted would be Rob Zombie.
It's
that would be
twisted, bro. That's how I felt about this movie.
You did, and I no.
How about the monologue he gives on the talk show? That's one of the worst scenes I've watched in a movie this year.
It goes on too long.
It is so poorly written, and Joaquin does his best with it. But like, Jesus Christ! And I'll tell you that the rest of the talk show stuff I liked. Him killing De Niro was a good moment, and then him shooting him again after he was dead was a really good moment.
All right, so you please explain to me why you like that. See, that confuses me. Why that was okay.
Because that shows some style. That shows something I wasn't expecting. And that shows me a character with confidence and gumption who actually has something to say. Like, I don't think that he needed to, before that happened, give an entire monologue explaining why he was about to kill this man. But I liked the murder. Right after that, the scene where he's in the police car and then glorifying his crimes to a crowd of MAGA supporters, I didn't like as much.
Why do you call them MAGA supporters? I didn't get that from that.
I didn't get anything from that.
So why do you say that? I'm just curious.
I don't know. They're definitely not. I don't know who they're supposed to be. What people would react to this man this way?
Right. Well, I said that earlier. I said I didn't know. I don't know. If anything, I thought.
How is he going to become a folk figure? The Joker.
I mean, you're asking questions that are not for me as another viewer. I don't really know that.
To me, this is a depiction of the Joker the way, how there are all these people out there who don't really understand the Punisher comic books but walk around wearing the big skull on the shirt and are like, yeah, I'm in support of Second Amendment rights, bro. This is a Joker. This is a Joker movie for those people.
Oh. I think you're giving those people way too much credit. You think they're going to look at
They love this movie.
But so
are you kidding me? Get ready. Get ready for all these people to have Arthur Fleck tattoos on their bodies. I promise you. What, like right-wingers? Yeah.
Well, it goes to show you that you're talking to the fucking guy who's left of left, and I didn't take that from that. I certainly hope that
you didn't take anything from this movie, Henry. You looked at this movie on the surface, you felt that this was cool and engaging, and you were done with it.
Politically,
and you're going to sit here to me and give it 5 stars.
Politically, I didn't feel the need to garner any sort of view from the movie.
I didn't feel the need to. I felt that it was pulling at me. It was a movie trying to say something, and it was dead behind the eyes.
Yeah, and I just looked at it as a movie about a great villain and an original take on him, and that's all I did. And you were making fun of my view, but you were kind of right. I did kind of sit there and go, I'm in. It's engaging. It's cool. I also went in with pretty low expectations because I didn't know what to expect, and I just liked a lot about it. And I just didn't go it from the same angle as you, just from even things you were saying earlier, which I think are totally valid. I just didn't go with those type of things. I guess when it comes to the Joker, I'm open to almost any interpretation someone wants to make.
Even if it's a different character, apparently.
Well, I mean,
it's like I'm open to all depictions of Wolverine, even when he's Hulk.
When Tim Burton's Batman is on, I gotta tell you, after, of course, when it came out, I was 11, but when I had rewatched it as like an adult, I didn't entirely buy or like, no, not buy. I didn't like that he was a gangster, because I remember thinking like, well, then that's not who I think of the Joker as. He's supposed to be someone who was semi normal, who is turned into something else, and you've got to show me how.
Okay.
And in Tim Burton, it's just he's already a bad guy, gets thrown into a vat of acid, and then all of a sudden he's
You're right. You're right, and that's less interesting. But this isn't a good guy.
No, I didn't say he was.
This
You're
isn't
right.
a normal guy.
No, he's not. But he's also not in the beginning already like a violent person.
No, but he's mentally deficient. He doesn't know
Yeah.
how to take care of himself.
Right. I mean, well, really quick, because what about any? So you didn't like any of the Thomas Wayne stuff or the Bruce Wayne? So you just felt it was superfluous?
Yeah.
Added, thrown it, sprinkled in there. See,
Oh.
I liked all of it. I liked all of that. I liked that Thomas Wayne wasn't a saint for once. Maybe you didn't like that because that's
I didn't care.
because that's in 80 years. 80 years we've been hearing that he's a saint, so that's a pretty big departure to make him pretty much a jerk off. I mean, that didn't bother you.
Yeah, but it's also from Arthur Fleck's perspective.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't like the scene where he goes up to the gate and Alfred is like a bodyguard, and then I didn't like the scene. I mean, there was the stuff with like his mom possibly having fucked Thomas Wayne was sort of intriguing, but then like that didn't lead to anything either because it just turned out that she's crazy and lying about it.
Right. What about like just the depiction of individual scenes, like as scenes, like the scene between him and what's the actor's name? Brian
Tyree Henry.
Yeah, like that.
That was
I
great because
that was a great scene.
Yeah, there are a couple of good like people I was excited to see. So like Brian Tyree Henry showed up and for one scene, and I perked up a little bit. Or Gary Gulman, who's one of my favorite stand-up comics, showed up on. He was like performed before the Joker at the open mic.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah,
like
right.
I was excited to see that guy for a second, and
Right.
Zazie Beetz is fine in her performance, but it's not really a character. I thought De Niro was good. I was excited to see Mark Maron. Like there's 100 people in this movie, so like.
Right.
Whatever. Like they cast some interesting faces, and that's great.
But you see, I guess for me also as like a collection of individual scenes, I just found every kind of tableau very, very riveting, and you didn't.
Did you come in your pants when Shea Wiggum showed up?
I was at what did you say a few weeks ago about one of the scenes? Half-mast.
Half-mast, sure, understood.
And hey, Shea Wiggum and Bill Camp, who I've grown to love over the years. That guy's
Bill
great.
Camp.
His partner in Joker. That guy's in everything now. I love that
okay.
guy.
Yeah.
I love that fucking guy.
Yeah, he's good.
Shea Wiggum. Yeah, that was funny.
And
Yeah.
Josh Pace, I like that guy.
He's in a little count I had to do for this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything more you really want to talk about?
No, I mean I'm good. I'm good
too. What'd you give it?
I thought this movie was great and amazing, and I will watch it again.
Go ahead.
Therefore, I'm there. Then I get to guess yours. Okay,
Fine.
I want to guess yours. All right, I'm giving it 5.
Fine. All right. Guess mine.
All right. I honestly don't think you're gonna. After all we've said, I really don't feel like you're gonna go 1. I think you're gonna go 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's a 2.
It's a 2. Yeah. All right. I didn't know for a second. I was like, he's just gonna go 1 now.
No, listen. This is a watchable movie. I was never bored. Again, like I thought it was a good cover version of those movies. Like the look of it was nice, and Joaquin's my MVP. and while I
Fine.
don't think it's a great performance or even close to one of his best performances, I can't imagine what this movie would be like without Joaquin Phoenix. Like it would be insufferable.
Yeah,
And
I can't imagine that either.
yeah, and so he's the guy. Did you love his dances?
They were sweet. You know that I knew.
Are you gonna go visit the steps?
I've been on them steps, man.
All right.
Those are in the fucking Bronx.
I know.
I knew that right away. That was cool, right?
There's a lot
Yeah.
of tourists up there now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I read. It's so fucking funny. You remember where I lived up there?
Oh,
You remember
that's true. You live not far from that. Yeah.
No, I mean it's fucking crazy. The staircases are. I mean, every day of my life. Yeah, but I don't know. They have a lot of those.
That's right. I think I
Remember
walked
that?
down one of those fucking
Well,
things
yes. You would have had to
to get to the
Yes.
train from your apartment.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot
you
about
would have had
that.
to. I don't know if it's the same one because they did say where it was. I think this is in the South Bronx. I didn't live there. But,
like where Jenny from the Block is from.
that's correct.
Mhm.
She's on the 6.
You know what? You know what this movie is, Henry?
What's this movie?
This
Dan?
is a Joker movie for people who think that the exonerated 5 should still be in jail.
It's a mark of our great relationship that I'm not taking any of that personally just because I happen to love the movie.
So your MVP
Yeah.
is Joaquin as well?
It has to be. I mean, I liked many things in the movie, the music, the direction, but it's Joaquin. I agree with you that if you take him out, I think it's honestly, we keep talking about it. Who would you put in Taxi Driver? And have it be Taxi Driver, even though Taxi Driver is a masterpiece. But De Niro, you can't take him out of the movie, right?
Right.
So Joaquin has to be in it. I mean, I'm not going to say that he can't. He has to be in it. You have to have Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher. It's one of those types of roles. So anyway, you disagree.
You understand that this isn't even the best performance of this character in a movie.
Heath Ledger's is.
Right, of
Yes.
course.
But this is second, and I got
So
to
you're
tell
saying
you.
can't take him out of the movie.
Well, here's what I had a couple.
It's already
people ask
been
me-
done better.
Well, I had a couple people ask me if I thought it was as good as Heath Ledger's, and I think it's just completely different.
They're different
I don't.
they're different genres of movie.
Well, I agree. See, I'm surprised to hear you say that because that's what I said. I said one really isn't. They're not really even comparable. It's almost like two different actors playing a Hamlet.
Yeah, there's no. Well, let's not go that far. But yeah, I mean, this movie's devoid of action sequences. Like that's a big action blockbuster. This is a character study. I don't think it's a good character study, but that's what it is.
But if I was to have a Joker brought into another movie where like Batman or whatever, I would have no problem having Joaquin Phoenix as
You
Joker.
want that to happen?
Well,
You
they're already
want
going.
Joaquin to fight Robert Pattinson?
First of all, I don't want Robert Pattinson to be in anything, but if if he's the Batman, you're going to be begging for Joaquin Phoenix to be in that fucking thing.
Well, Paul Dano's playing the Riddler.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
sweet. That's good casting.
That is good casting, yeah. And somebody cool playing Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah,
Like that.
That could go either way. I mean, she's all right. I like her in Big Little Lies.
Yeah, I watched one episode of that. By the way, couldn't get into it. Not my world.
Not like this, huh? that one had too many chicks in it, huh?
Too many of the rich older parents in Santa Barbara. I can't get into that kind of thing. I don't get it. No interest. Anyway, who cares? LVP.
Phillips.
Really? Yeah. I mean, that makes sense if that's how you felt during the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I don't think there was a super weak link in the cast that really annoyed me or upset me or anything. Even like Thomas Wayne, which I wasn't interested in. I love Brett Cullen. He's a good character actor. So like no, I've gotta go behind the scenes, and like you said, the score is fine. The look of the movie's decent. It's just the thing. I mean, this depiction of the Joker is Todd Phillips's, and so he's. This would be a better movie with somebody else writing and directing it.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's hard for me to pick an LVP because for the same casting reasons that you picked. I mean, I guess. Geez, I mean, I don't even know. I don't really know. I mean, the acting was so solid across the board. I almost want to say maybe because I've just seen her do this 300,000 times.
Frances Conroy.
Yes.
Who's the guy who lent him the gun?
Glenn Fleischer. He's a really good character actor. He's the serial killer from True Detective. And
that's right. I did not care for him in this movie.
Okay.
So if I need to pick an actor, it's him. But I normally like that actor. I just thought that character was ridiculous, and it was just there to put a gun in Arthur's hands.
I feel like I actually have to say I think it's Frances Conroy. I think somebody else might have been able to. I don't know. I've just seen her doing that.
Oh, that's what she does.
20, right? She's like a dying mother for 20 fucking 5 years.
Even when she's not dying, you're like, you sit down. Have some tea.
I'll get that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there you go, folks. So.
All right. You want to superhero count this?
I sure do. I'm so sorry, but I do. Okay. All right. I had it in my phone, so here we go this week. This is a screenshotted.
All right, just read
superhero count. Joaquin Phoenix. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Was in 1989's Superboy.
Oh, I think you probably mean Leaf Phoenix then.
Who?
Leaf Phoenix.
Oh, did he go by that?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't remember that kind of trivia.
Joaquin was Leaf for many years.
Okay. He played a character named Billy Hercules.
Great. Sounds great.
Zazie Beetz, of course, played Domino in
course.
Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Frances Conroy played Ophelia Powers in the 2004. Talk about a character being rewritten in a good way. That is the Halle Berry Catwoman.
Ophelia Powers?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, right? I never saw that movie, so I don't know.
That's really interesting.
Why, is that a big character?
No, I kind of remember her being in that, but yeah, Pitoff's Catwoman. I'm obsessed with that movie.
I know. She also played Martha Kent in All-Star Superman and Superman Unbound. Makes sense. I could see her as Martha Kent, also dying.
Who was that? Oh, Frances Conroy, of course. Keep going.
Yeah, Brett Cullen, of course, was in The Dark Knight Rises, playing Congressman Byron Gilly, and I remembered him specifically. Catwoman, right. The one that Catwoman kidnaps. He was also in an episode in 1981 of the show The Incredible Hulk.
Wow.
Yeah. You're not even listening. You're looking up something else.
Yeah. I was.
Yeah, that's okay. This was interesting to me. The kid who played Bruce Wayne in this movie was played by a kid named Dante Pereira Olson, who was also in Jessica Jones, playing someone named Boy.
Great.
This is what was interesting to me. I think Joaquin picked this kid because he starred with him apparently in You Were Never Really Here.
How about that?
Right? Possible.
Joaquin gave a little kid a job.
There you go. Shea Wiggum played Roger Dooley in Agent Carter.
Yeah, he was on a lot of episodes of that show. He was good.
All right. He's always good.
Of course. Of course he is, Henry. Of course Shea Wiggum's always good. Why do I tell you that?
All right, we're almost done. Josh Pace? How do you say it?
I don't know. I always said Pace.
Pace.
We've covered him. He was in Scream 3.
Okay. Well, he played the Joker. He played
the Joker.
Yeah, he played Arthur Fleck's agent, which I didn't even know he had an agent in this movie. I don't.
No, of course. Yeah, he was. It was like every so often it'd be like, "Yeah, I got you a gift. I don't want to do children's birthday parties anymore." It was shit like that.
Oh, his boss at the
right?
clown.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know who that's what they meant. His fucking boss. All right, and
Yeah,
apparently
the one who's like, "You're freaking people out, Arthur."
he was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. Weird. And lastly,
Yeah,
Brian.
I think he might have been Raphael.
Really, it's in the 1991.
I think he played Raphael in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Wow, wow, cool but rude.
Yeah.
And lastly, but not leastly, is Brian Tyree Henry. Was in Dan's favorite movie ever made. He played Jefferson Davis in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's right. Much better movie than this.
That's it.
Okay, well, that was a fun conversation to have. And listen, out there, if you like Joker, you're allowed to. If you hate it, you're allowed to. It's your own opinion as long as you've seen the movie. I don't like people that decide on things before they see the movie.
No shit.
But if you've seen the movie, I know Ryan Rebalkin out there probably listened to this. He was clamoring for this episode because he loved the movie so much. I've let him down. He's very happy with Henry right now. and so, yeah, thanks for listening to this bonus episode of the franchise.